All right, good afternoon. We have the 1:30 docket call for trial scheduled for Monday. And we have the cases scheduled in order of age. I have the oldest case, which is 1,079 days old. That is for Irvin Mendoza, CR 19-079-58H, State of Texas versus Irvin Hernandez Mendoza. I don't see Mr. Cantu logged on, but I do see Mr. Mendoza. What was going to be the state's announcement on this one? You're on mute.
Yes, sir.
Apologies, Judge. State would be announcing ready, but for the fact that the officer no longer works at Provincial PD, state would be requesting a motion of continuance this time.
All right. Let me have Mr. Cantu log on so that he can either agree with the continuance or voice his objection to the continuance. Let me see. I have Ms. Vasquez. Ms. Vasquez, what case are you here on? Are you here for docket call or the 2 o'clock docket?
It's a jail plea, Judge. I
Okay.
believe it was set for 1:30.
No, those actually are set for 2. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll be back, Your Honor.
Okay, yeah, if you don't mind coming back at 2, those are set for 2. Our jail docket set for 2.
Sure thing. Thank you, Judge.
Sure. Mr. Chapa, can you hear me?
Yeah, Judge, I'm here.
Good afternoon. This is CLR 20-00337H, Jorge Luis Torres. You're second up for this week. Your case is 867 days old. You're number 2. Your announcement for a docket call.
We're announcing ready, Judge, and just for the record, Mr. Torres is present on Zoom.
All right, so defense is ready. What says the state?
Judge, state's going to announce not ready on this one. We've spoken to the victim. She is out of town and she's also pregnant. But in speaking with the victim, she did express an interest in dropping the charges. So I explained to her the process and I provided her contact information to our victims unit. So they should be reaching out to her. She should be coming down at some point from where she is to sign an A&P.
Okay, so wherever, you said she's pregnant?
Yes.
Like
Heavily pregnant?
months, about to be due, travel is limited. Do we
My-
know?
Her mother only expressed that she is heavily pregnant.
Okay, that's
But in any event, she has expressed interest in signing an A&P. So I believe this case could get dismissed administratively at some point, maybe with a class.
Mr. Chapa?
Judge, while I sympathize with the alleged victim's situation, my client is out on bond. Nevertheless, he is subject to liberty and liberty restraints, Judge. I have to object to any continuance on the trial, Judge. If the state's alluding to some sort of class for a dismissal, I would just ask that they put a formal recommendation on the record.
Were we to get an A&P, that would be the recommendation.
So here's a situation though, Yuri. If depending on what the announcement from Mr. Cantu is going to be, and at this point you're asking for a continuance, that puts us in a position to where you're asking for a continuance on number 2. If Mr. Cantu, I guess technically speaking, both of them could object to the continuance. I'm just speaking for Mr. Cantu. Let's just assume he objects to the continuance. In that situation, what would be your announcement? Well, I don't want to go into that, but here's the thing. Mr. Chapa is already announcing ready, and he wants to go forward. You're asking for a continuance.
Correct, Judge, our first.
Well, it doesn't really matter because once I don't play you get one. That may work for motions to suppress, but trial is a whole different story. And the reason for that is because you guys announced ready for trial and you're taking up some space on my docket board. So we don't, the idea of the court doesn't play that particular game because, you know, there's other people. Once I get to 5, I stop the week. If we're going to play that game, then other people would have loved to have had this week. They would have loved to have been in the position of having their cases either heard or disposed of. So it's unfair to other people that where I capped it. You'll notice that we only have 5. That's by design. All right. I would have loved to have had 10, but I cap it at 5. And so it's situations where, you know, the state's not ready, that limits other people's ability to come before the court to try to have their day in court.
Well, and Judge, we are ready to announce ready on 2 other cases.
Well, I understand that, but those are not the oldest cases. So you may be ready on number 5 and number 4 and 5, but I may not get to number 4 and 5. Number 1 and 2 still need to be dealt with before I get to number 4 or 5. Does that make sense? Like I can appreciate you're ready on number 5, but if you're asking for continuances on number 1 through 4 to get to number 5, and number 1 and 2 have an objection about the continuance, then we're stuck, and we're stuck saying we're going to trial on Monday. And so what's the state's position and what's the state going to do? Because in this situation, you have a victim who A, doesn't want to prosecute, B, doesn't want to come down on Monday, but yet you want him to take a class. Well, I mean, you can't have it both ways. At this point, you're going to have to like cut and run and say, you know what, I'm going to follow what the victim wants, and I'm not in a position to bring the victim on Monday. That's kind of where you find yourself, Yuri, because other than that, you know, we're letting the system play us, and I'm not in a position to let the system play us. So this is the second oldest case. It's 867 days old. So the question then becomes, where are we? You know, because it's not like you know, Mr. Chapa was just appointed. It's not like he was, you know, he's been the lawyer. He's the one that announced ready, and here we are. So I think that in this situation, we're talking about a victim who wants to file an affidavit, and really the state's position is, give me a continuance so I can make him do a class. That's really what this is about, right? And I don't know if that's in the interest of justice. I really just don't, because you should be ready. But if your victim isn't ready, I mean, or if Mr. Chapa says, you know what, I understand the situation. I understand. And in an effort to try to resolve this, we will take a class, and we'll grant the continuance, and we'll come back in, you know, 30 days, because I have a working relationship with Mr. Heller. But that's not, I mean, that would be putting him in a very awkward position too, because he has to zealously represent his client. And I understand that as well. So where does that put us? Defense is announcing ready. State is announcing not ready because a victim wants to file an affidavit and you want him to take a class, in a nutshell, right? I really need Mr. Cantu to be logged on so that this can, he doesn't answer? Mr. Mendoza, where is he? Irving, can you, do you have contact with your attorney?
Yeah, I just called him right now, and he said he was going to be on real quick. I just called him right now, and said he should be on.
All right. I need Mr. Trevino on after, I need Mr. Trevino and Mr. Longoria, and then I already have Robert Mesa.
Thank you.
No.
Mr. Cantu, can you hear me?
Judge, I can hear you. I was having
Perfect.
trouble early.
No problem. Are you standing in here for your dad?
I am.
Okay.
Your Honor.
This is CR 19-07-958H, Irving Hernandez Mendoza. You're the first one on the docket board for trial on Monday. It is a case that is 1,079 days old. It is, the state has announced that they're requesting a continuance, and I am waiting for an announcement from defense counsel.
Okay, Your Honor. Thank you. David Cantu standing in for Arturo Cantu, representing Mr. Mendoza. We're set for trial May 31st. The announcement is ready for trial.
All right. So state's announcing ready. I'm sorry, defense is announcing ready. State's asking for a continuance. What was the purpose of the continuance, Mr. Heller? And you're on mute.
Hello.
To try to locate the officer, Judge, he was a progressive PD officer. And he's no longer there. We're not sure where he is.
All right. State's motion for continuance is denied. Based on that, does the state have an announcement?
Yes, Judge, state will continue dismissal in this case.
At the request of the district attorney's office, the case against Irving Mendoza is hereby dismissed. That takes care of the oldest case on the docket, Mr. Cantu. Thank you for logging on. Mr. Irving Mendoza, good luck to you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right. That brings us back to Mr. Chapa, who has now the oldest case on the docket, CR 20-00-337H. George Luis Torres.
Judge, in this matter, the state's going to announce that we have contacted the defendant, and I'm going to repeat, we have contacted the victim, I'm sorry. She has expressed a desire to non-suit this case. She does live out of town and she is pregnant. She is not willing to come down for it. So at this time, we will be dismissing this, tendering dismissal in this case.
The request of district attorney's office, the case against Jorge Luis Torres is also hereby dismissed. Good luck to you, Mr. Torres, and thank you, Mr. Chapa.
Yes, Judge, may I be excused?
You're excused.
Thank you, Judge.
That now brings us to number 3, CR 20-09-8838H, Jacqueline Marie de la Paz. Mr.
Good
Trevino.
afternoon, Judge. Yes, good afternoon, Your Honor, Gregorio Trevino. I did receive an email with a recommendation from Mr. Heller. We're not rejecting that recommendation. I just haven't been able to get a meeting with my client to be able to express that recommendation to her. If I can carry over the docket call and get some time to be able to get together with her and discuss that rec. She has told me that she is prescribed medication. So we have been putting this case as a trial case because of her prescription on this particular charge. So if I can have some time, Judge.
Okay. Now that would mean that I remove you from the docket board, so you're not asking for it to be on the board. Because right now you're one up, is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. So remove me, Judge. I need some time. I would announce not ready. I haven't, I may have filed some motions, Your Honor, but not all motions. I don't recall what motions I filed, but remove me, Judge, and I put for one status at least, and we can come back and.
What says the state?
And
Any
see it.
objection?
The state has no objection, Judge, with removing it from the trial docket. Mr. Trevino, if she does have a prescription and you can provide proof that she had a prescription at the time of the alleged offense, then we'll look at dismissing the case.
All right, let me set this up for a status.
Thank you. Appreciate
How long
that.
will it take you to get that prescription, Mr. Trevino?
Your Honor, if I can have at least, I'll be out on vacation on the 10th through the 17th, Judge. So anytime after the 17th, Your Honor, if you can set me for a status, that's no problem.
I can set you on the 23rd. Does that work?
That sounds like a winner, Judge. Yes.
June 23rd, 2022 at 9:30 in the morning in person, okay? In person.
In person, it will be. Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Ms. De La Paz, stay in contact with Mr. Trevino, but we'll remove you from the docket board and we'll see you on the 23rd at 9:30 in person, okay?
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Jacqueline,
You're welcome.
Jacqueline, please call my office.
Yes, I was just on the phone with them earlier. I couldn't get
Thank
a hold
you.
of.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, next one is
Thank you,
CR
Judge.
21. Yes, you're welcome. CR 21045588H, Rigoberto Sanchez.
Good afternoon, Judge. Dan Longoria for Mr. Sanchez. Judge, I've lost contact with Mr. Sanchez. I've tried today calling him, yesterday, other days. I've sent him emails. There hasn't been any response. The last time on my file, I'm showing that January 27th, we discussed all the evidence, but he did call me one day that he was up north somewhere, but that was a couple of months back. So I don't have any contact with him and don't know how else to get a hold of him.
All right, is Rigoberto Sanchez present? If you're on mute, please unmute yourself. Rigoberto Saldaña Sanchez. Rigoberto Sanchez Saldaña, if you're on mute, please unmute yourself. Rigoberto Sanchez. There be no response. What says the state?
State request judgment NICE be granted, keep issued in bonds forfeited to the state of Texas.
Judgment NICE will be granted. Case is issued upon forfeiture to the state for the arrest of Rigoberto Sanchez. Mr. Longoria, if you make contact with him, let him know that there was a warrant out for his arrest. You can bring him in. It'll be in person, and we will deal with the NICE at that time.
Okay, Judge, I've tried multiple times. I mean, quite a bit. Would the court consider an oral motion to withdraw or?
Sure. Yeah, I can go ahead and grant that. I mean, there'll be a NICE pending. If he gets picked up, you may get reappointed or someone else may get reappointed if you were, in fact, his appointed counsel. But the court.
Right, I was appointed, Judge. I've been trying to quite frankly, get off the misdemeanor wheel. I've talked to indigent, but I still haven't done that. I'm still on the wheel, but I've been trying to get off. So I'm hoping the court would allow me to withdraw.
If you don't mind submitting a written motion so that the auditors can see that there was a motion that was submitted and granted, so that in case you ever submit a voucher for your time, that won't be an issue.
Yes, Your Honor. I appreciate it.
No problem. The court will go ahead and grant your oral motion to withdraw. So oral motion to withdraw granted.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I be excused?
Yes, you may.
Have a great day.
You too. That now brings us to CR 2103-975H, Daniel Lee Bailiff, Mr. Mesa.
Good afternoon, Judge. Your Honor, on this case, from what I have, we were just appointed on Mr. Bailiff's case. I did make contact with him yesterday. I don't have the discovery as of yet. Our office is still setting up the file for him because we just got the appointment. So my request is to at least give us a little bit of time so I can get that information. And it looks like there might be USB digital discovery as well. So that would be my request at this point in time, Your Honor.
Any objection from the state?
No objections.
Let me go ahead and give you August the 29th as a reset date. So I'm going to go continuance behalf of the defense is granted. You need some time. You just got appointed yesterday, day before maybe.
Yes, Your Honor.
So August 29th. At 9:30. All right,
I do have some other cases, Judge. I'll hang on for the 2 o'clock calling of them, okay?
yes,
That'll-
we're about 8 minutes away from that.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
No problem.
Mr. Bailiff, you're excused.
Thank you.
Okay,
All right. I got a couple more people. I'm just gonna start letting people in, even though we're going to be waiting for the 2 o'clock docket.
But I'll put it right here because I can't hear it.
All right, guys, just a quick announcement. I'm just letting people log on. I'm letting everybody in since I had Docket call at 1:30. So it's the same link. So please be patient. We got about another 3 minutes before we get started. Give me one couple minutes. We'll get started here in about 3 minutes or so. Mr. Garcia, I cannot hear you. You might want to log off and then log back on because I don't see your microphone on your icon on your screen. So log off and log back on. Mr. Garcia, Martin Garcia.
Hello. Is this
Yes,
is this court 8?
Yes, sir. I can hear you now.
Oh,
Sir. All right,
hello,
perfect.
how you doing?
You got your microphone working. Just remain on mute and we'll get started here shortly, okay?
Oh, okay, thank you so much.
No problem. All right, let's go ahead and get started. I see that Ms. Cantu and Mr. Mesa have given me a reaction button. If Ms. Cantu is available, I will start taking announcements other than pleas.
Judge, good afternoon. Judith Cantu. I have number 6 and 7 on your jail docket, Sergio Torres.
All right, that's 6 and 7, CR 2201-850H and CR 2201-851H, State of Texas versus Sergio Cuellar Torres. Your
So, Your
announcement.
Honor, we are announcing, we're asking for a reset. He said for June 6th for the felony. We were hoping to dispose of it administratively. That was unsuccessful. So we're asking for a date after June the 6th.
Can I give you like what's the likelihood of it being disposed of on June 6th? Because, and I ask only because I have dates of June 21st. But if you think it's going to be much quicker, I can bring it up much quicker than that.
So I'm hoping that after June 6th, your case will disappear. So I'm hoping. So if you want to give us the June 27th, then we can just wait. And if I need a sooner date, I'll notify your court.
All right, let me give you June 21st, 6/21 at 9:30 in the morning in person. That's 6/21.
Well.
If you need a quicker date, just let us know. And since he's a jail case, we'll definitely accommodate that.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, no problem. Mr. Mesa, who do you have?
Judge, I've got number 8 through 11 on the jail docket. Matthew Ray Trejo.
CR 2113-250H, CR 2103-786H, CR 2109-591H, CR 2200-121H, State of Texas versus Matthew Ray Trejo. Is there still a felony pending on this one?
Correct, Judge. It looks like he was arraigned yesterday out of the 430th. There is only one misdemeanor out of the same transaction as that felony, which is the 2022 case, Your Honor. So, I mean, as far as trying to take care of them all as a group, I just would ask for a little bit of time and see if that can be done. But I do know that there's only one of these cases that's out of the same transaction, out of that felony that's pending.
Can I give you the same day of June 21st?
Yes, Your Honor, that'll work.
June 21st, 2022, 9:30 in the morning in person, June 21st.
Yes, Your Honor. And I have number 17, Judge.
All right, number 17.
Yes, Your Honor. Stephanie Villarreal.
Yes, CR 2204-779H, Stephanie Villarreal. Your announcement for Ms. Villarreal?
Judge, with Ms. Villarreal, this is our first setting with her as a jail case. She doesn't have any priors. As far as I can tell, I spoke to her already, spoke to her husband, who's actually in, I believe it's Carbondale, Illinois. And so trying to see if there's a possibility that there could be, this was an assault with a neighbor. I think it was a fight, an argument that they had. I don't know if there's any restitution involved or not, but we would like to see if the court would consider some type of a time served on this or some additional time since she's been incarcerated and hopefully try to dispose of it so that she could make her way up to Illinois, Your Honor.
All right. I'm assuming that here, this is her only offense?
That I can see, yes, that I know of, she's telling me she's never been in trouble before. So she's got no priors. I don't know if the state can verify that or not, or has been able to verify that or not. But that's what I'm getting from her and from her husband, that she doesn't have any priors.
And who was the victim in this case?
It was a neighbor, Your Honor.
So she was living here at the time, or?
Apartment, I think it was apartment complex, Judge, and there was a dispute. Maybe she was loud. I know there was alcohol involved at some point, but I know that there was a dispute over, somebody being loud or saying something, and that's what ended up happening. Ended up getting into a scuffle, what I would call it.
And she's willing to plead guilty to it?
She's willing to plead guilty to it. She's asking, yes, to see if she can be on her way. She's gonna move out of the area. She's gonna go up to Illinois. We're spoken to her husband. regarding that. He is living up in Carbondale. He's working, so
What says estate? You're on mute.
Judge, given that I'm present in the courtroom and not in front of a computer, I can't look at the case right now.
Oh, that's okay.
I'll be happy to look at it once I get back to the office. If Mr. Mesa can contact me this afternoon after docket.
It looks like this is her only case, looking at our system. It looks like this might be her only case. Obviously, the question would be about the victim and how, you know, what are the injuries, restitution, things of that sort.
right.
Why don't I set this up for Tuesday? And if this is something that the state's inclined based on limited to no restitution, something to that extent, that a time served would be considered, I would consider it.
Very well.
And if it's not, at least that's my next jail docket, so I can bring her in and we can work accordingly, because at this point, you don't have the plea paperwork anyway for us to take a time served recommendation. So
Correct.
I
That's
wouldn't be
correct.
able to do that today. So let's go ahead and reset this one till Tuesday, the 31st,
Very well, Judge.
5:31 at 2 o'clock.
And the last one I have is a plea, Judge, but I'll wait for the court to call that one. It's number 19.
I think that's the only thing I have remaining because I don't have anybody else giving me a reaction button. So I suspect that the rest of my cases are pleas. All right. Which one do you have then? I don't have anybody else giving me a reaction button, Roberts.
Number 19, Your Honor, she's on the screen. It's Myla Flores. She just turned on her camera, Judge, and she signed up, non-detained.
All right, Myla Flores. Ma'am, can I check your audio just to make sure it works? Can you just?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, remain on mute, Ms. Flores, and I'll be right with you. Don't move, don't go anywhere, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else with an announcement other than a plea? Announcements other than pleas, Mr. Garcia? No?
Mine's okay, Judge. That was a premature.
Okay, no problem. Mr. Galvan, do you have a plea or an announcement?
I have a plea this afternoon, Your Honor.
Okay, so let me just go down the road here. I have Mr. Quintana. Who do you have for a plea set today?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Yeah, this is a plea, Berkeley Lemore.
Berkeley Lemore. What number? Number 23. Berkeley Lemore. There's only one case. We're proceeding on that one. Good. Thank you. Is Mr. Berkeley Lemore present? Berkeley Lemore, I did see.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Mr. Lemore. I got you. All right. All right. Next, we've got, let me see. Mr. Shigani, on my computer screen, you're the next lawyer up. What case do you have?
Your Honor, I have number 24, State of Texas versus Omar Maldonado, CR 21-09655H. It's a PTD plea, Your Honor.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Garcia, who do you have?
I have Carlos Benitez. It's a jail case, Your Honor. It's it should be number 1 on your jail docket.
Okay, number 1. Is this a motion to adjudicate or is it a?
Judge, there's a felonies pending. Those are the motions to adjudicate. The agreement with the felony prosecutors, we take care of the misdemeanor, and then we'll deal with that order.
All right, perfect. All right, Ms. Vasquez, who do you have?
Your Honor, I'm standing in for Attorney Eloy Garcia, number 15 on your docket. Christian Martinez Valenzuela.
Christian Martinez Valenzuela. Yes, number 15.
He's coming.
All right. Hang tight there, Mr. Valenzuela. Don't move, okay? All right. Next, I have Mr. Rudy Moreno. Who do you have?
Your Honor, I got number 18 on your docket. Alex Bueno. Alejandro Bueno.
Alejandro Bueno. Is that the only one you have, Rudy?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Morales Martinez, who do you have?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. I have Hector Fernandez Ramirez. And I apologize, Your Honor. Last time I saw him, he was wearing a mask, so I'm not sure what he looks without it. And I don't see someone with that name.
All right, Hector Fernandez Ramirez, are you here? And if you are, can you unmute yourself? Hector Fernando Ramírez.
Sí, sí, sir, dígame.
Ok, es tu.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Sí.
He's scheduled for a plea, Your Honor.
all right, and he's a Spanish speaker.
Yes, sir.
All right. Carlos, will you let Mr. Ramirez know that to remain on mute, and as soon as his name is called out, to unmute himself?
Sí, señor Ramírez, nomás apague su micrófono por mientras. Y ahorita que empecemos, le llamamos y puede encender el micrófono.
Mr. Arredondo, who do you have?
Good afternoon, Judge. I have Evelyn Garcia, number 2, 3, and 4 on your docket.
All right, Evelyn Garcia, number 2, 3, and 4. Are we proceeding on all 3 cases?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. All right, Mr. Flores, who do you have?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Abiel Flores, were you calling on me, Judge?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I have number 26 on the court's criminal docket, Luis Jacinto Perez.
Luis Jacinto Perez. Is Mr. Perez present?
He is. He's under Luis. If you could unmute, please.
Yes, unmute, Luis.
I'm here.
Okay, perfect. Luis Jacinto Perez. All right, who else do I have whose name I? All right, Mr. Galvan, did I get your client's name?
Yes, Your Honor.
Who is your client?
Maria Rivera. She
Maria,
is logged on, Your Honor.
Maria Apolonia Rivera. Last one on the docket. Where is Miss Rivera?
She is wearing a mask, Your Honor, a white mask.
Miss Rivera, can I have you say something so I can make sure your microphone works?
Hello.
Perfect. Thank you. It does work. All right. Mr. Davis, who do you have?
Judge, I have number 25 in your docket. It's set for a plea.
Christopher Mertz?
Yes, Christopher Mertz.
Okay. Is Christopher Mertz present?
Supposed to be logged on. I just logged on myself.
Christopher Allen Mertz, are you present? If you're on mute, please unmute yourself. Christopher Allen Mertz. Christopher Allen Mertz. Mr. Davis, it doesn't seem like they're getting a response to a Christopher Allen Mertz.
Judge, can I have a few minutes and I'll give him a call? I know like this morning we got the plea paperwork done and everything, so he may have accidentally logged on to like your morning docket or something.
Sure, I give you a couple minutes. Once I get started though, I'm doing a huge batch, so we'll probably have to push this one to Tuesday, which will be the last hearing that I have on Zoom. So if you can get a hold of him, great, but I'm already at the tail end of announcements before I get started with the admonishments, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Mr. Lozano, who do you have? Ron Lozano?
I'm here, Your Honor. Can you hear me?
I can.
I have one on the jail docket, Reynaldo Salazar.
All right. Mr. Salazar, let's have you come over. Stand up there. All right, let me get situated here with my docket. Did I miss anyone? Anybody whose name I didn't call? Who are they?
afternoon, Billy Colin Martin Garcia. My attorney is Sergio Sanchez.
Okay, so, Mr. Garcia, we don't have paperwork for your case. So I'm gonna go ahead and reset your case for an in-person hearing on June 21st, okay?
Okay, is this gonna be at Court 8?
Yes, sir. At 9:30 in the morning, in person at Court 8.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, stay in contact with your lawyer. We don't have any paperwork, so not much can happen today, okay?
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
We'll see you on June 21st.
Yes, sir, likewise.
All right. Joel Guerrero, can Joel Guerrero, are you present?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Guerrero, the same situation. I'm gonna go ahead and reset your case for an in-person hearing on 6/21 at 9:30.
But the problem is I don't have anybody leave my daughter because I take care of my daughter, sir. I'm in Reynosa. I don't, I'm all day with my daughters till like 5 o'clock till my wife comes.
Let me do this then. I need you to contact Mr. Sanchez. It's important because the last day that we have hearings via Zoom is going to be next Tuesday. So
Okay.
I'll give you Tuesday, the 31st, which is the last day that we have for Zoom calls before we go to in person. So I'll need you to make contact with him and make sure that we're ready to go on that day. Otherwise, we'll need to figure out how we're going to get you here.
Oh, okay, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're excused today.
Okay. Have a nice day, sir.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, we have quite a number of cases set for the docket for pleas today. Mr. Davis, did we have any luck with your client?
I have not had any luck, Judge. I called him a couple times and didn't get an answer.
All right, if it's okay with you, I'd like to go ahead and just reset that one for Tuesday.
Tuesday at what time?
At 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock. And that we can still do it by Zoom on that day?
That'll be the last day that we do Zoom.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, so that'll be 5:31 at 2 o'clock.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome. Okay, this is the order in which cases will be called. Please listen carefully. Mr. Carlos Benitez Jr., you're going to be the first one to answer all of my questions, okay? Carlos Benitez Jr. will be the first to answer all my questions, followed by Evelyn Garcia. Evelyn Garcia will be the second person to answer all my questions, followed by Reynaldo Salazar. Reynaldo Salazar.
Judge,
Yes,
request, can we put the Spanish speaker first, since there's only one?
yes, yes.
That was number 27.
All right.
I think it'll go a little smoother.
So if I can have, well, but he's not in jail, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So, okay, so let me just go back and, so I have, just to put everybody and make sure everyone's present. Carlos Benitez Jr., Evelyn Sarai Garcia, Reynaldo Salazar, all right? Be ready to answer questions. Then I'm going to move over to Christian Martinez Valenzuela Jr., followed by Alejandro Bueno Jr., Myla Mireya Flores, Barkley Lamore, Marlene Maldonado, Luis Jacinto Perez, and finally, Maria Apolonia Rivera. Now, Hector Fernando Ramirez, because you're the Spanish speaker, you're going to be the first one to answer all of my questions. So I'm going to start with Hector Fernando Ramirez. Then I'm going to go to the beginning and continue.
Yes, sir.
Ahorita le traduzco, sir.
Está bueno.
Can I have all of you please raise your right hand?
Levanta su mano derecha.
Do each of you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I'm going to start with Hector Fernando Ramirez.
Juro que testimonio que habrá esta tarde va a ser la verdad y solamente la verdad, empezando con usted, Héctor Fernando Ramírez.
Sí, sir, dígame.
Yes, sir. Tell me.
All right. How about Carlos Benitez Jr.? Carlos Benitez Jr., you're on mute.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Evelyn Sarai Garcia.
Yes, sir.
Reynaldo Salazar.
Yes, sir.
Christian Martinez Valenzuela Jr.
Yes, sir.
Alejandro Bueno Jr.
Yes, sir.
Myla Flores,
Yes, sir.
Barkley Lamore,
Yes, sir.
Marlene Maldonado,
Yes, Your Honor.
Luis Jacinto Perez,
Yes, sir.
and finally, Maria Apolonia Rivera.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You all may lower your hands. We are here in CR 22017728, State of Texas versus Hector Fernando Ramirez. Sir, is that your true and correct name?
Héctor Fernando Ramírez, ¿es tu nombre correcto y verdadero?
Sí, Héctor Fernando Ramírez Valenzuela.
Héctor Fernando Ramírez Valenzuela.
All right. Where does Ramirez come from, sir?
¿De dónde sale Ramírez?
¿Mande?
Ramírez, ¿de dónde sale ese nombre?
¿De Torreón, de México?
No. ¿De qué padre es?
Is it from your mother or your father?
¿Tu mamá o de tu papá?
De papá.
Father.
Okay. Here in the United States, Mr. Ramirez, we use our father's last name as our identifier, so that's why you're being identified as Hector Fernando Ramirez. I'm going to refer to you as that.
Aquí en Estados Unidos se usa el apellido de nuestro papá como identificador aquí en Estados Unidos, o me voy a referir a usted como Héctor Fernando Ramírez.
Okay.
Mr. Ramirez, you're here before the court charged with the offense of driving while intoxicated with a BAC greater than a .15. That is a Class A misdemeanor. And in just a minute, I'll explain to you the range of punishment for a Class A misdemeanor.
Señor Ramírez, usted se encuentra ante la corte porque eres acusado de una ofensa de manejar intoxicado, que es sopló más de un .15 y se considera un delito menor clase A. En un momento le explico lo máximo de castigo que puede recibir por esta ofensa.
Ok, está bien.
Ok, apague su micrófono.
CR 2204564H, State of Texas versus Carlos Benitez Jr. Sir, is that your true and correct name?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Benitez, you're here before the court charged with the offense of criminal mischief, a Class A misdemeanor. And in just a minute, I'll explain to you the range of punishment for a Class A misdemeanor. In CR 200806H, as well as CR 20080661H, and CR 2103413H, State of Texas versus Evelyn Sarai Garcia. Ma'am, is that your true and correct name?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Garcia, you're here before the court charged with the offense of theft of property, a Class B misdemeanor. Theft of property over $750 but less than $2,500, a Class A misdemeanor. And you're here with the offense of assault causing bodily injury, which is also a Class A misdemeanor. In just a minute, I'll explain to you the range of punishment for a Class A misdemeanor. In CR 2204103H, State of Texas versus Reynaldo Salazar. Sir, is that your true and correct name?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Salazar, you're here before the court charged with the offense of assault causing bodily injury, a Class A misdemeanor. In just a minute, I'll explain to you the range of punishment for a Class A misdemeanor. In CR 2204762H, State of Texas versus Christian Martinez Valenzuela Jr. Is that your true and correct name?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Valenzuela, you're here before the court charged with the offense of criminal mischief, a Class B misdemeanor. And in just a minute, I'll explain to you the range of punishment for a Class B misdemeanor. In CR 2200036H, State of Texas versus Alejandro Bueno Jr. Sir, is that your true and correct name?
Oh, yes, sir.
Mr. Bueno, you're here before the court charged with the offense of driving while intoxicated with a BAC greater than a .15. That is a Class A misdemeanor. In just a minute, I'll explain to you the range of punishment for a Class A misdemeanor. In CR 2112565H, State of Texas versus Myla Mireya Flores. Ma'am, is that your true and correct name?
Yes, sir.
Flores, you're here before the court charged with the offense of driving while intoxicated, a second offense. This is a Class A misdemeanor. And in just a minute, I'll explain to you the range of punishment for a Class A misdemeanor. In CR 2103696H, State of Texas versus Barkley Lamore. Sir, is that your true and correct name?
Yes, Judge.
Mr. Lamore, you're here before the court charged with the offense of possessing a dangerous drug. That is a Class A misdemeanor. In just a minute, I'll explain to you the range of punishment for a Class A misdemeanor.
Okay.
In CR 3109658, State of Texas versus Marlene Maldonado. Ma'am, is that your true and correct name?
It is, Your Honor.
Ms. Maldonado, you're here before the court charged with the offense of driving while intoxicated, a Class B misdemeanor. In just a minute, I'll explain to you the range of punishment for a Class B misdemeanor.
Yes, sir.
In CR 2108827H, State of Texas versus Luis Jacinto Perez. Sir, is that your true and correct name?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Perez, you're here before the court charged with the offense of possession of a controlled substance. Penalty group 3, less than 28 grams. That is a class A misdemeanor. And in just a minute, I'll explain to you the range of punishment for a class A misdemeanor. And finally, in CR 19-03-57H, in Texas versus Maria Apolonia Rivera. Miss Rivera, is that your true and correct name?
Yes, sir.
You are here before the court charged with the offense.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. You are here before the court charged with the offense of driving while intoxicated with a second offense. That is a class A misdemeanor. I need to advise all of you that are charged with class A misdemeanors that a class A misdemeanor carries a potential penalty of up to 1 year in the Hidalgo County Jail and up to a $4,000 fine upon conviction. Do you each understand the range of punishment you could receive for a class A misdemeanor? I'm going to start with those of you that are charged with class A misdemeanors, which include Mr. Carlos Benitez.
Yes, sir.
Miss Evelyn Saray Garcia.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Reynaldo Salazar.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Alejandro Bueno.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Mireya Flores, or Myla Mireya Flores.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Barkley Lamore. Barkley Lamore, you're on mute.
Yes, Judge, I can hear you.
Thank you. Mr. Luis Jacinto Perez.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Hector Fernando Ramirez, do you understand the range of punishment you could receive for a class A misdemeanor?
Héctor Fernando Ramírez entiende que el caso que usted tiene es un delito menor clase A y con esta ofensa, lo máximo castigo que usted puede recibir es hasta 1 año de cárcel del condado, una multa de $4,000 o las dos cosas de acción contra culpable. ¿Sí entiende lo máximo de castigo que puede recibir?
Sí, sí, sir.
I understand.
How about Maria Apolonia Rivera?
Yes, sir.
Those of you charged with class B misdemeanors, that I need to make you aware of, carries a potential penalty of up to 6 months in the Hidalgo County Jail and up to a $2,000 fine upon conviction. Do each of you understand the range of punishment you can receive for a class B misdemeanor? I'm going to start with Evelyn Garcia for your class B.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Christian Valenzuela.
Yes, sir.
Miss Marlene Maldonado, your class B.
Yes, Your Honor.
All of you have the right to an attorney and the right to a trial by jury, but you can waive one or both of those rights by signing a document with this court. At this time, I'm going to ask each of you, did you all have the opportunity to review a document with your attorney? I'll start with Hector Ramirez. Carlos.
Héctor Ramírez, entiende que usted tiene el derecho de tener un abogado presente con usted, el derecho de presentar su caso ante un jurado. Puede renunciar uno o los dos derechos firmando ciertos documentos. ¿Tuvo la oportunidad de revisar los documentos con su abogado antes de que los firmaras?
Sí, ya lo firmé.
Yes, I already signed it.
How about you, Mr. Benitez?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Garcia.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Salazar.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Trevino. No, I'm sorry, Mr. Valenzuela. I apologize. Mr. Valenzuela? Mr. Alejandro Bueno?
Yes, sir.
Is Myla Flores?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Barkley Lamore?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Miss Marlene Maldonado?
Yes, sir, I did.
Mr. Luis Jacinto Perez?
Yes, sir.
And finally, Maria Apolonia Rivera.
Yes, sir.
Did each of you understand that when you signed those documents, you were waiving your right to a trial by jury? Did you understand you were waiving that right? I'll start with Mr. Hector Ramirez.
Héctor Ramírez entiende que cuando firmó sus documentos estaba renunciando a su derecho de presentar tu caso ante un jurado. ¿Sí entendiste?
Sí, sir, dígame.
Yes, sir.
How about Mr. Carlos Benitez Jr.?
Yes, sir.
Evelyn Garcia.
Yes, sir.
Reynaldo Salazar,
Yes, sir.
Christian Valenzuela Jr.,
Yes, sir.
Alejandro Bueno,
Yes, sir.
Myla Flores,
Yes, sir.
Barkley Lamore,
Yes, sir.
Marlene Maldonado. Marlene Maldonado?
Yes, sir. I understand.
Thank you. Luis Jacinto Perez,
Yes, sir.
and finally, Maria Rivera.
Yes, sir.
Court will go ahead and accept your waivers of trial by jury. Has any court ever declared any of you to be mentally incompetent, crazy, or insane? Mr. Ramirez?
Señor Ramírez,
Dígame.
¿alguna corte alguna vez te ha declarado mentalmente incompetente o que diga que está loco?
No.
No.
How about Carlos Benitez Jr.,
No, sir.
Evelyn Garcia,
No, sir.
Reynaldo Salazar?
I took psychology when I was 15.
Reynaldo Salazar?
I took psych, yes, sir.
Thank you. Christian Valenzuela,
No, sir.
Alejandro Bueno,
No, sir.
Myla Flores,
No, sir.
Barkley Lamore.
Yes, sir.
The court has declared you to be mentally incompetent, crazy, or insane, Mr. Lamore?
I'm sorry. No, sir.
Is that a no?
Yes, no.
All right, thank you. Marlene Maldonado,
No, Your Honor.
Luis Jacinto Perez,
No, sir.
and Maria Apolonia Rivera.
No, sir.
Counselor, speaking with your clients, do any of you find your clients to be mentally incompetent, crazy, or insane? If you do, I will take an answer. Otherwise, in the affirmative, I will find that they're all mentally competent. Anybody find that their clients are incompetent? But we'll take judicial notice that all clients are mentally competent. Do you each understand that if the punishment that I assess, if that punishment does not exceed what is recommended by the state, you will need this court's permission if you decide to file an appeal? Do you each understand that? I'm going to start with Mr. Trevino. I'm sorry, Ramirez.
Ramírez,
Dígame, sir.
¿entiendes el castigo que le doy si no sobrepasa lo que está recomendando el fiscal? Si usted decide apelar este caso, tienes que pedir permiso a esta corte primero. ¿Sí entiendes?
A ver, ¿me lo puedo repetir de nuevo?
Entiende que la corte no tiene que aceptar esta recomendación del fiscal, el acuerdo que llegó tu abogado con el fiscal.
Ok.
Pero si usted decide apelar este caso, tiene que pedir permiso de esta corte primero. ¿Entiendes?
Ok. Sí.
Yes.
How about you, Mr. Carlos Benitez Jr.?
Yes, sir.
Evelyn Garcia,
Yes, sir.
Reynaldo Salazar,
Yes, sir.
Christian Valenzuela,
Yes, sir.
Alejandro Bueno Jr.,
Yes, sir.
Myla Mireya Flores,
Yes, sir.
Barkley Lamore,
Yes, sir.
Marlene Maldonado,
Yes, sir, I do.
Luis Jacinto Perez,
Yes, sir.
and finally, Maria Rivera.
Yes, sir.
Do each of you understand that and further understand that the court does not have to accept the recommendation of the state? Do you understand that? I'll start with Mr. Ramirez.
Señor Ramírez, ¿entiendes que la corte no tiene que aceptar la recomendación del fiscal? ¿Entiendes?
Ok. Sí.
Ok, ya.
Carlos Benitez,
Yes, sir.
Evelyn Garcia,
Yes, sir.
Reynaldo Salazar,
Yes, sir.
Christian Valenzuela,
Yes, sir.
Alejandro Bueno,
Yes, sir.
Myla Flores,
Yes, sir.
Barkley Lamore,
Yes, sir.
Marlene Maldonado,
Yes, sir.
Luis Jacinto Perez,
Yes, sir.
Maria Rivera.
Yes, sir.
At this time, I must ask each of you, are you U.S. citizens? I'll start with Mr. Hector Ramirez.
Héctor Ramírez, ¿es ciudadano americano?
No.
No.
Carlos Benitez Jr., are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, sir.
Evelyn Garcia,
Yes, sir.
Reynaldo Salazar. I'm sorry, Mr. Salazar?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Christian Valenzuela,
Sir.
is that a yes?
Sir.
I'm sorry, I still can't hear you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. Alejandro Bueno,
Yes, sir.
Myla Flores,
Yes, sir.
Barkley Lamore,
Yes.
Marlene Maldonado. Marlene Maldonado?
Yes, sir, I am.
Thank you. Luis Jacinto Perez.
Yes, sir.
And finally, Maria Apolonia Rivera.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Hector Fernando Ramirez, because you're not a U.S. citizen, your plea of guilty or no contest may result in your deportation, exclusion from admission to this country, or the denial of naturalization under U.S. federal law. Do you understand those immigration consequences?
Señor Héctor Fernando Ramírez, por la razón que no es un americano, al declararte culpable o no lo contendré, pudiera resultar en tu deportación, negar la entrada para atrás al país o le pudiera afectar la aplicación para ciudadanía. ¿Sí entiendes las consecuencias que pudiera pasar con inmigración?
No, sir. ¿Me lo puede explicar?
Como le estaba explicando ahorita.
Okay. Mr. Ramirez, do you understand that because you're not a U.S. citizen and the fact that you're about to enter a plea of guilty here, that this may result in you being deported from the United States, excluded from admission in the future, or denied naturalization under U.S. federal law? Do you understand that?
Señor Ramírez, entiende que como usted tiene aquí esta ofensa aquí ante la corte y usted probablemente va a poner una declaración de culpable, pudiera tener unos efectos con inmigración en cual pudiera ser deportado, le pudieran negar la entrada para atrás al país o le pudiera afectar la aplicación como para una ciudadanía. ¿Entiendes?
Okay, no, sí me hago culpable del delito, sir.
Okay, yes, I'm going to plead guilty.
And do you understand that you may be denied naturalization?
Y entiende que le pueden negar la naturalización.
Sí, sir.
Yes, sir.
And knowing and understanding all those consequences, you still want to go forward here today?
Y sabiendo las consecuencias que pudiera pasar aquí hoy, sigue siendo su deseo proceder con su caso aquí hoy.
Pues a mí me gustaría arreglar el problema, sir, y pues pedirle una disculpa y seguir aquí laborando en el país, ¿verdad?
I would like to fix the problem and ask for forgiveness and try to keep working here in the country.
Okay, but you do understand that there's a possibility that you will get removed from the country because of your plea of guilty.
Pero sí entiende que al declararse culpable hay una posibilidad de que la puedan sacar de aquel país.
Si me hago culpable, me pueden sacar del país, sir, dice.
If I plead guilty, I could be taken out of the country, is what you're saying?
Yes, you could be deported.
Sí, puede que lo deporten.
Okay. No, pero pues no hay problema, yo voy a seguir en las cortes y pues ya lo que tenga que pasar Dios dirá, ¿verdad? Yo voy a cumplir con el requisito que con el problema que yo tengo, yo voy a pagar y todo y ya lo que ustedes digan, ¿verdad?
Oh, no, I'm going to follow what the court decides and do what God says, and I'm going to continue paying and keep working.
Okay. To the offense of driving while intoxicated with a BAC greater than 0.15, a Class A misdemeanor, sir, how do you plead? Guilty or not guilty?
A la ofensa de manejar intoxicado que sopló más de 1.15 se considera un delito menor clase A. ¿Usted cómo se declara, señor? ¿Culpable o no culpable?
Me declaro culpable, sir.
I plead guilty, sir.
Me declaro culpable por mi error.
I plead guilty for my mistake.
Are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Se está declarando culpable voluntariamente.
Sí, sir. Me declaro culpable.
Yes, sir. I plead guilty.
Mr. Carlos Benitez Jr., to the offense of criminal mischief, a Class A misdemeanor, how do you plead? Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty, sir.
Are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily, sir?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Evelyn Sarai Garcia, to the offense of theft of property, a Class B misdemeanor, how do you plead?
Guilty.
Are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
The offense of theft of property, a Class A misdemeanor, how do you plead? Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia, to the offense of assault, Class A misdemeanor, how do you plead?
Guilty.
Are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes.
Mr. Reynaldo Salazar, to the offense of assault, the Class A misdemeanor, how do you plead?
Guilty.
Are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Christian Valenzuela, to the offense of criminal mischief, a Class B misdemeanor, how do you plead?
I plead guilty, sir.
Are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily, sir?
Yes, sir.
Alejandro Bueno, to the offense of driving while intoxicated with a BAC greater than a .15, how do you plead?
Guilty.
Are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily, sir?
Voluntarily.
Thank you. Myla Mireya Flores, the offense of driving while intoxicated, a second offense, a Class A misdemeanor. How do you plead?
Guilty, Your Honor.
Are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
Barkley Lamore, to the offense of possession of a dangerous drug, a Class A misdemeanor. How do you plead? Mr. Lamore? I heard you say guilty. Are you pleading guilty free? Are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily, sir?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Marlene Maldonado, to the offense of driving while intoxicated, a Class B misdemeanor. How do you plead?
Guilty, Your Honor.
Are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
I am.
Luis Jacinto Perez, to the offense of possession of a controlled substance, a Class A misdemeanor. How do you plead?
Guilty.
Are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Maria Apolonia Rivera, to the offense of driving while intoxicated, a second offense. How do you plead?
Guilty.
Are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes.
Court's going to go ahead and make a finding that all the defendants before the court have entered their pleas of guilty freely and voluntarily. I'll call for state's evidence at this time.
It offers plea documents and offense reports as State's Exhibit 1, notification and certification of defendant's right of appeal as State's Exhibit 2, waiver of Article 39.14 disclosures as State's Exhibit 3, waiver of risk and needs assessment as State's Exhibit 4, PTD packet as State's Exhibit 5. State would also request defense counsel stipulate to venue and jurisdiction of this honorable court and further stipulate that all evidence that is going to be e-filed is sufficient to corroborate the plea of guilty.
If there is no objections from any defense counsel, I will assume that there is no objection from any of you unless you can voice your objection at this time. Otherwise, I'm just going to take it as a blanket, no objection. No objections filed by any defense counsel. We'll start with CR 22-04564H, State of Texas versus Carlos Benitez Jr. It is a judgment of the court that you're guilty as charged. What is the recommendation in this case?
Recommendation is a $300 fine, court costs 365 days, Hidalgo County Jail, probated for 1 year, life skills classes, and 20 community service hours.
CSR. Mr. Garcia, questions or requests on behalf of your client?
Yes, Judge, I'm going to ask for consideration on the court costs and the fine as well as the community service hours. He is going to be adjudicated, although modified on the felony, and a lot of that's going to be covered in there.
All right. Well, the court costs, I'm going to give him 90 days in which to pay. I'll waive his CSR hours. I'll run it concurrent with his felony CR 3459-16G, and the rest of the recommendation I will follow. Mr. Benitez, we do need a phone number from you.
Yes, sir. Can you repeat that?
Can I get a phone number from you?
Yes, 956-261-9457.
Someone from our intake department will contact you in about 5 business days.
All right. Thank you, sir. You are excused. You're also excused, Mr. Garcia.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. In CR 20-08060H, as well as CR 20-08061H, and CR 21-03413H, State of Texas versus Evelyn Sarai Garcia. It is a judgment of the court that she is guilty as charged. What is the recommendation on all 3 cases?
Judge, in 060H, the recommendation is a $200 fine, court costs, theft classes, life skill class, and 15 community service hours. And the recommendation is identical to 061H.
And so what's the term of probation? You said $200 fine, court costs, theft class, life skills, 15 CSR, but what?
Oh, crud, I didn't write it down, Judge. I need to look at the.
1 year deferred, Judge. 1 year deferred adjudication.
1 year deferred.
1 year deferred. Okay. Is that the same on the CR 20-08061H?
Yes, Judge.
Right. What about in CR 21-03413H?
That is a $300 fine, court cost, 1 year deferred adjudication, anger management, alcohol classes, and 30 community service hours.
All right, so let's go back to the first 2. Those occurred out of the same transaction. I'm going to waive the court costs in CR 20-08061. So on 061, I'm going to waive the court cost. She gainfully employed Mr. Arredondo.
It was, but our client has been in custody 25 days, Judge. Limit of 2 weeks, Judge. She's going to have to reapply, Judge.
25, I'm only showing 2, but I guess there's There's more than that?
In custody since May 2nd, Judge. May 2nd.
Okay. I will waive the CSR hours. And I will waive the fine on both of them. So she just has to pay the court costs on one of them.
And can we only have just one probationary fee, Judge? One other cases?
Correct. All right. And now in the CR 21-03-450-413H, the assault, what is the recommendation there?
It's a $300 fine, court costs, 1 year deferred adjudication, anger management, alcohol classes, and 30 CSR.
All right. And this one, I will keep the fine of $300. I will give her 90 days to pay the fine and court cost. I will waive the CSR hours. The rest of the recommendation I will follow.
And there's only one probationary fee for all three cases, correct?
I'm sorry?
There's only one probationary fee for all cases?
Correct. All three. They're all running concurrent.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. That'll be the judgment of the court. Ms. Garcia, we do need a phone number.
936-223-0704. Thank you. Someone from our intake department will contact you in about 5 business days.
All right. You're excused, Mr. Arredondo.
Have a good day.
Your Honor, that's all we have for the female section. May we be excused?
You're excused. Thank you.
Thank you.
CR 22-04-1038, Reynaldo Salazar. It is a judgment of the court that you're guilty as charged. What is the recommendation?
The recommendation is a $300 fine, court costs, 1 year deferred adjudication, anger management by Mujeres Unidas, alcohol classes, and the defendant obtain a GED.
Questions or requests on behalf of your client, Mr. Lozano, you're on mute. Mr. Lozano, can you hear me?
He's ready. Can you hear me now, Your Honor?
Yes, yes. Any questions or requests on behalf of your client?
I do, Your Honor. Similar to the agreement, I have been in custody for at least 26 days, and I would like reduction in bond simply because of his poverty, and I would like the court costs to be waived. And
all right, I think I got from the 28 days that he's there, I'll go ahead and waive the fine. He'll have a court costs. He'll pay 90 days. It'll take him 90 days. I'll give him 90 days in which to pay it. It'll be 1 year deferred adjudication, anger management by Mujeres Unidas, alcohol classes, and GED will be ordered. That's the judgment of the court. We do need a phone number from you, Mr. Salazar.
956-400-1713.
Thank you. Someone from our intake department will call you in about 5 business days.
All right, you're excused, sir. All right, in CR 22-04-762H, Christian Martinez Valenzuela Jr. is the judgment of the court that you're guilty as charged. What is the recommendation?
The recommendation is a $300 fine, court costs, 1 year deferred adjudication, life skills class, open restitution, and judge, I needed to find out if he has a high school diploma or not.
All right, Christian Valenzuela, do you have a high school diploma?
No, sir.
Is that a no?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
And state will request that he obtain a GED in lieu of community service hours.
All right, I'll waive the CSR hours. GED will be ordered. Restitution, do we need a hearing?
Yes, Judge.
6/16 at 9:30. So 6/16 at 9:30 in person. All right, I'll give him 90 days in which to pay the fine and the court cost. Any other requests on behalf of Mr. Valenzuela?
Yes, Your Honor. On behalf of Mr. Garcia, he is asking that Mr. Valenzuela's fine and court costs be taken into consideration in light of the time he's already spent in custody, Judge. Additionally, I do believe the judgment reflects it as a Class A, but it is a Class B misdemeanor. I don't know if that was corrected already.
Yeah, I think I admonished him. It shows Class B on my docket.
Oh, very well.
Yes. I'll go ahead and waive the fine for the days in jail, and I'll give him 90 days to pay the court costs. The rest of the recommendation I will follow.
Very well, Your Honor. That concludes my business before this court. May I be excused?
Yes, we just need a phone number from Mr. Valenzuela.
956-867-3418. 3418.
Can you repeat that one more time, please?
867-3418.
Thanks. Someone from our intake department will call you in about 5 business days.
All right. That brings me now to CR 22-00036H, Alejandro Bueno Jr.
Yes,
It is
sir.
it is a judgment of the court that you're guilty as charged. What is the recommendation?
The recommendation is a $350 fine, court costs, 365 days Hidalgo County Jail, probated for 1 year, alcohol classes, 6 months mobile alcohol monitoring, defensive driving, 90-day driver license suspension, and I need to find out if he has a high school diploma.
Mr. Bueno, do you have a high school diploma?
No, sir.
In that case, Judge, state's going to request that he obtain a GED in lieu of CSR.
Questions or requests on behalf of your client?
Judge, just a couple of requests. We asked that the check driver license suspension run concurrently with administrative suspension. In regards to the CSR, GD judge, I know that could be waived. He does work out of the county, so we have to also ask for condition 7 to be waived too. But he does have full-time employment. I'm not sure that was just enough. That's about it, Judge.
All right, the court will go ahead and waive condition number 7. I am going to order that he do get his GED. I am going to waive his CSR hours. I am going to run concurrent the administrative suspension with the driver's license suspension. I'm going to give him 90 days in which to pay the court cost and the fine. The rest of the recommendation I will follow.
Thank you, Judge.
We need a phone number, Mr. Bueno?
956-222-0746.
Thank you. Someone from our intake department will contact you in about 5 business days.
Okay.
All right.
Am I dismissed?
Yes, you are. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. In CR 21-12-565H, Myla Mireya Flores. It is a judgment of the court that you're guilty as charged. What is the recommendation?
The recommendation is a $500 fine, court costs, 365 days Hidalgo County Jail, probated for 18 months, repeat offender program, 9 months mobile alcohol monitoring, 72 continuous hours in Hidalgo County Jail, 180-day driver license suspension, that she obtained a GED and MAD impact panel.
All right, let's start off with Ms. Flores. Do you have a high school diploma?
I do not, sir.
All right, then the GED will be ordered. Any other questions or requests on behalf of Ms. Flores?
Yes, Judge, the other request, if there is a suspension, if the court would allow that to run administratively, Your Honor, with the state suspension, the 180-day.
Yes, that'll be ordered. Run
And
current.
if there's any leeway, Judge, on the mobile alcohol monitoring device, I don't know if the court is able to do anything with the 9 months that they're recommending. I know it's usually half of the time of probation, but she's had a device since October of 2021. So if it's possible, if not, then I explained that to her already.
Yeah, it's this is statutorily ordered at this with the second one. What I do need and what I can work with her with is with respect to the 72 continuous hours. That is mandatory, but I can work on days with her. I can do weekends. I can do it down the road. I can do it in a couple of weeks. It doesn't have to be done this weekend. It can be done, 2-3 weekends down the road.
Okay.
If she wants it even on weekends, she can pick Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But I do need dates today. I do need her to get her head together and come up with dates today.
Ms. Flores, do you have the date that we
Yeah,
talked
yes,
about?
sir.
Okay.
Yes, June 3rd on Friday.
All right, that's
June
June
3rd,
3rd.
Judge.
That would be next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yes, sir.
We're going to work on an order. You have to surrender yourself at 6 o'clock at the county jail, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, we do need a phone number from you.
956-715-0555.
Thank you. Someone from our intake department will call you in about 5 business days.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, you're excused.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Next case is CR 21-03696H, Barkley Lamore. It is a judgment of the court that you're guilty as charged. What is the recommendation?
The recommendation is a $100 fine, court costs, 6 months deferred adjudication, a drug education class, and 20 community service hours.
Questions or requests? Mr.
Your
Quintana?
Honor, on this case, we're also asking that condition number 7 be waived because he lives in the state of Massachusetts. He also is requesting that the fine be waived in light of the fact that he spent 10 days in jail. And because of the fact that he's employed and he's got a college degree, we're asking that the CSR hours be waived.
He is working, is that what you said?
Yes, sir, he is.
All right, I'll waive the CSR hours. I'm gonna give him 90 days in which to pay the fine, 90 days to pay, 90 days to pay the court costs. I'll waive the fine. So 90 days to pay the court cost, 6 months deferred adjudication, drug education classes, and I've waived condition number 7.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Now, how about reporting here for this gentleman? He is in the state of Massachusetts, you said, right?
That's correct.
All right. Any objection to allowing him to report by mail, Yuri?
No objection, Judge.
Report by mail will be ordered.
Thank you.
All right. All right, Mr. Lamore, you are, we need a phone number from you before I let you go. Mr. Lamore, can I get a phone number from you? Phone number, Mr. Lamore?
Your Honor, I do have it.
617-407. 617-407-1767.
Thank you. Someone from our intake department will be calling you in about 5 business days.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. You're excused, Mr. Lamore. You're excused as well, Mr. Quintana.
Thank you.
Next case is CR 21-09655H, Marlene Maldonado. It is a judgment of the court that you're guilty as charged. Ms. Maldonado, you're asking to be placed in the pretrial diversion program. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
The pretrial diversion program is a contract that you're entering into with the state of Texas, whereby you are agreeing to comply with certain conditions of the pretrial diversion program. And in exchange, the state is agreeing to dismiss the charges against you if you successfully complete the program. Before placing you on that program, Ms. Maldonado, I have a question for you or Mr. Shigani, and that is, is there anything there that you feel that we need to modify or adjust so that she can be in compliance and be successful in the pretrial diversion program, Mr. Shigani, or you don't see any issues?
Judge, the only thing I would suggest or ask for is if the states, I know they normally ask for CSR hours as part of PTD. That's the only issue I think we have, or not issue, but the only request we would have on this, Judge, is if the state would consider waiving that or the court would consider waiving that. I know it's a contract with the state, so.
Yeah, but is she gainfully employed?
But yeah, she is, Judge.
All right, the court will go ahead and waive the CSR hours. Usually the state doesn't give you problems with that.
Thank you, Judge. And I'll put this on the record. This was a matter that we did staff with the DA's office. This should be a 6-month PTD is from my understanding. So I guess we're going to address that later, Judge, but I just wanted to put it on the record.
And I'd like to put it on the record that since it's a 6 months PTD and I've waived a couple of things, that Ms. Maldonado and I are not related. Well, are not related. Is that correct?
That is correct. We're not related, Your Honor.
We're not, and we're on YouTube, so we're not related because I can hear the choir already talking about how favoritism is being offered to a family member in County Court 8. Okay, we'll go ahead and place her on the pretrial diversion program, and I will need a phone number from her.
It's 956-685-3196, Your Honor.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and give her a 6-month status as requested.
Thank you, Judge.
For November 16th, 2022 at 9:30.
Judge, just out of curiosity, could we do a 4-month status?
I mean, I can give you a 2-month status. It doesn't mean the DA's office is going to dismiss it in 2 months.
I know that, Judge, but out of abundance of caution, I would ask the court to give us a 4-month status if the court would be so inclined, Judge.
Always pushing the envelope, Fish.
So September something?
I do my job, Yuri. Yes, Judge.
September 26th.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, September 26th, 9:30.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, you're excused, you and your client.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Next one, CR 21-08827H, State of Texas versus Luis Jacinto Perez. It is a judgment of the court that you're guilty as charged. What is the recommendation in this case?
The recommendation is a $200 fine. Court costs 180 days, Hidalgo County Jail, probated for 6 months, drug education class, and 15 CSR.
Questions or requests, Mr. Flores?
Just asking for consideration on the fine and court costs, Your Honor.
All right, I'll give her, I give him 90 days in which to pay the fine, 90 days in which to pay the court cost. I'm only showing 2 days in the county jail. Is that approximately correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Is he working at this time?
Luis?
Yes. Yes, I'm working.
Okay, I'll waive the CSR hours. The rest of the recommendation I will follow. I need a phone number from you, Mr. Pettis.
Phone number is 956-800-9322.
That was 9322?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thanks. Someone from our intake department will call you in about 5 business days.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us now to CR 22017728, Hector Fernando Ramirez. It is a judgment of the court that he's guilty as charged. What is the recommendation?
The recommendation is a $250 fine. Court costs 180 days, Hidalgo County Jail, probated for 10 months, 5 months level alcohol monitoring, alcohol class, 90 days driver license suspension, and 40 community service hours.
Questions or requests, Ms. Martinez?
Your Honor, only consideration on the CSR hours. My client is fully employed, Your Honor.
All right, I'll give him 90 days in which to pay the court cost. I will waive his CSR hours. I will run the 90-day Texas driver's license suspension concurrent with the administrative suspension. The rest of the recommendation I will follow. We do need a phone number from Mr. Ramirez.
Señor Ramírez, la corte lo va a encontrar culpable de esta ofensa. Va a ser una multa de $250. Los costos de corte va a ser 10 meses de libertad condicional. Va a necesitar un aparato móvil que mide el alcohol por un periodo de 5 meses. Tiene que atender clases de alcohol. Suspensión de licencia buscar junto con la suspensión que le dio el Estado. Le va a quitar las horas de servicio a la comunidad. Necesitamos un número de teléfono.
956-890-3758.
956-890-3758.
Oye, sir. Disculpe, sir. La multa que me dice, ¿dónde la puedo pagar o cómo son los pagos?
The fine that you were telling me, how can I pay it or how are the payments?
You will pay that to the collections department, the court costs, correct? I'm already kind of rusty as to how this happens, but court costs to the collections and then the fines to probation. Is that correct?
Yes, Judge, and the probation officer that he gets assigned to will explain all that to him.
Carlos, will you let him know that the probation officer that's assigned to him will explain all that to him?
El oficial que sea asignado a su caso, sir, le va a explicar todo eso.
Ok, está bueno. ¿Cuándo será la otra corte, sir, o ahorita me dicen?
When is the next court date or are they going to tell me?
There is no more court date, sir.
Ya no hay audiencias de corte. Va a recibir una llamada de la Oficina de Libertad Condicional, sir, en esos próximos 5 días.
Ok, está bueno.
Your Honor, we have nothing further. May we both be excused.
Both of y'all are excused. Thank you so much for your patience.
Thank you, Judge.
Ya se puede retirar, señor Ramírez.
Gracias, sir. Buen día.
Likewise, you too. All right, finally, we have CR 1903-5798, Maria Apolonia Rivera. It is a judgment of the court that you're guilty as charged. What is the recommendation?
The recommendation in this case, Judge, is $200 fine. Court costs 365 days, Hidalgo County Jail, probated for 14 months. Repeat offender program, 7 months alcohol monitoring, 72 continuous hours in Hidalgo County Jail, 180-day driver's license suspension, 40 CSR, and MAD impact panel.
Mr. Galvan?
Yes, Your Honor. I do have a few requests. This is an old case that Ms. Rivera retained me back on in 2019. She's been on the alcohol monitoring device since 2019. She's a nurse with the VA hospital, Your Honor, so she does sometimes have to travel to Harlingen, so we do ask that condition 7 be waived. As well, we ask that the 40 community service hours be waived due to her being a full-time employee. And in regards to the 14 months, Your Honor, I don't know if the court would have any consideration and possibly reduce it to 1 year. And the 180 driver's license suspension to run concurrent with the administrative one.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead. We'll start with the first one being that I'm gonna give her 90 days in which to pay the fine and court costs. I will reduce the amount of probation down to 12 months, which also reduces the amount of her mobile alcohol monitoring down to 6 months. I have granted the condition of condition 7 will be waived. The 72 hours in Hidalgo County Jail, Miss Rivera, I do need you to start thinking about what days you'd like that to happen. I'll work with your schedule, but we do need days today so that we can work on an order that's going to be sent over to the county jail so that when you do show up, they'll accept you, otherwise they won't. The 180-day Texas driver's license suspension will run concurrent with the administrative suspension. I have waived the CSR hours, and MAD impact panel will still be ordered. That'll be the judgment of the court. We just need those days. Have you given that any thought, Ms. Rivera?
She has, Your Honor, and she'll give you those days right now. You're on mute, Maria.
Yes, I was thinking at least 2 weeks, because that way I can have someone with my parents.
Sure, no problem. I can work with you. Just give me the days that you think would work so that we can put it in the order.
What Friday would you like to show up, Maria?
So 2 Fridays from this Friday.
Let me pull up my calendar real quick.
The 10th?
That would be the 10th, correct, Your Honor?
Correct.
June 10th.
All right. Did we get a phone number from her?
956-685-6228.
Thank you. Someone from our intake department will call you in about 5 business days.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have nothing further. May I be excused?
You're excused. Thank you. You and your client are excused.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor, this
Yes,
is
sir.
Carlos Moctezuma Garcia.
Yes, sir.
I'm a bit rusty. I forgot to ask for a restitution hearing.
What number was it?
Number 1 on your jail docket. Carlos Benitez.
Restitution hearing.
Yes, Judge, it was criminal mischief. My apologies. I forgot to ask for an restitution hearing. 6/16, 9:30?
June 16th, 9:30?
Actually, Judge, I'm gonna be out of town on that date. Can I get a different date?
How about
I'm
the
out all
23rd?
that week.
June 23rd?
Perfect.
All right, June 23rd.
Thank you, Judge.
No problem.
May I be excused, Your Honor?
Yes, you may. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Dan, what do you have?
So on that one, Judge, he just got a new case filed.
You want to go to the back so we can hear you? Yeah. What number is it? 16?
So he just got another one filed yesterday, Judge. The case number there is CR 22. Didn't make it to a document because it just got filed.
CR 22?
502027H.
Okay, so Mr. Mora, now that you're back there and you and the state are both present, that way we can all hear each other. In CR 21-11-830H, Luis Peter Velasquez, I understand he picked up a new offense or a new case, CR 22-05027H. I guess he's in custody, and what is your request, Mr. Mora?
Judge, you're asking for a PR bond on this gentleman. This is the one where his brother is his caretaker. I spoke to his brother. What's happening once he gets locked up is his Social Security, excuse me, benefits are suspended. They're gonna have to get him in some sort of assisted living, excuse me, assisted living program that's gonna be through Social Security. He's been doing fine. I believe there's some mental issues, drug issues. And it's just, it's impossible. He's gonna have to have 24-hour care.
So let me get this straight. I released him last time in the care of his brother and he picked up another offense.
No, he actually pled out. He'd been sitting in jail for a good while. Now, he'd been in with his brother. Everything was going fine. He was keeping in contact with him. Everything was fine. He was living with him, and then it just, he takes off.
What says the state with respect to the PR bond?
Stay in front of the court, Judge.
Is the brother still going to take care of him?
The brother is going to, there's a program now where he's gonna have to go into some sort of assisted living where there's 24-hour care.
All right, court will go ahead and grant the $2,500 PR bond
Thank you, Judge.
on the new case, yes, because the other ones are already a PR bond. So the new case is what's holding him, I assume, and the court will go ahead and grant him a PR bond so he can go into that mental health facility.
Thank you, Judge. Maybe excuse?
Your excuse, thank you. You know what, Dan, can you get him? I need to give a reset, Dan, a reset. Let's do August 10th.
Yes, sir.
All right. Reset August 10th for both cases at 9:30 in the morning in person.
Thank you, Judge.
No problem. All right. Yes, give me 1 second.